Welcome viewers. Now I shall discuss CSV file handling exercises keeping in mind CBSC plus 12 Python programming course curriculum. Here I shall discuss read, write, append operations on CSV file, then the advantages of CSV file, disadvantages of CSV file, and where to use CSV file. Lastly, I shall discuss file IO problem and its Python programming solution. Since CSV file is a comma separated text file, it is in a human readable form. It can be browsed and edit using common text editor like Notepad, WordPad, Notepad++. It can also be opened or accessed or edit using MS Excel. Most importantly, this is compatible with MS Windows, Linux, Mac. That's why its portability is very high. But since it is a text file and in a human readable form, data security or privacy of confidential data are of serious problem for this file system. With these two, I think you have got the idea of where to use CSV file. Since it is a human readable form and is compatible with different operating system, it is portable and most often it is used for file transferring by common people for common uses. Now come into the problem. Say there is a problem where you have to mention advantages and disadvantages of CSV file and write a Python program to add a set of records into a CSV file, then count the number of records present in the CSV file and display it on the monitor. For this, you can take any type of data set. Here I have given two examples, employee records and student records with field ID, employee, employee name, employee city and admission number, student name and email ID. But here I shall consider only student record to discuss this problem. This can be solved in different ways, but here I shall mention only two methods, that is iterative algorithm and a non-iterative algorithm. In iterative algorithm, first you have to read the number of records, then you have to read the records one by one and you write it in the CSV file. When this iteration is over, go to the last module, that is count number of records. In non-iterative algorithm, first you have to read number of records, then you have to read the records and make a list of list. When this is over, then you write down the entire list into the CSV file in one go. When this is over, write the number of records on the monitor. Now consider iterative algorithm. First import CSV file, then define three functions. Def read records with three arguments, student ID, name and email. Since student ID is integer, so after reading the value, you convert it to integer by int function and assign it to stu_id. Name and email, both of these are strings, so conversion is not required. So these three variables can be returned back to the calling program by using return method with stu_id, name and email. This will return a tuple to the calling program. Then you define add record with rec count variable. So this represents number of records you want to enter into the system. First open the CSV file in write mode and assign it to a variable file handler f. Then create a CSV writer object using CSV writer method and use the open file f as its argument. Assign it to a object variable CSV writer. Then create three variable and initialize it with 0 and null. Then create the loop. Number of iterations of the loop is rec count. Read the records one by one with field ID, that is student ID, name and email, and assign it to a tuple. Then convert the tuple to list using list function and assign to a variable rec list. Then write down the rec list using writerow of the CSV writer object. Now this conversion is required. Why? Because writerow method requires a list. So this will loop over the records and it will write it one by one into the CSV file. When this is over, it will come out and close the file. Then count the records. First open the file with 2 record in R mode, then create a CSV reader object using CSV reader for the file F. This will read all the records from the CSV file and assign it to the variable records as a data frame. Then you convert these records to a list using list method. When it is list, then you can count the number of elements in the list using len function. So this will return len function will return number of records in the CSV file and it will assign to rec count variable. Then display this rec count with proper prompt on the monitor. After that, close the open file F with f.close method. So this is over. So you can write down on the CSV file. First you read number of student record and convert it to integer, assign it to a variable rec, then call the add record function with rec. This will write down all the records in the CSV file, then count the record with rec count. This is the a typical output of the program. Read number of records, enter number of records and display it on the screen. Now consider non-iterative algorithm. For this you consider first you read the CSV file in write mode, then read all the records and make a list of list. When this is over, write down all the records in one go in the CSV file. How can be implemented? They are here def add record all. This is the function and rec count in the number of record. First is open it in write mode and create a CSV writer object using CSV writer method for the file F. Then initialize 2id, name and email with 0 and null and create a null list using null on the right hand side of the variable record list. Now create a loop. The number of iterations of the loop is rec count. Then read records from the user for student ID, name and email and assign it to tuple. Convert that tuple to list and then append this list to the null list, record list. When this loop iteration will be over, it will create a list of list. Then write down this list of list directly into the CSV file using writerows method of the object CSV writer. This also requires list, that's why you have to make a list of list. Then you read the number of student, call add record all for the variable rec, then count the number of record. This is a typical output of this program. Enter number of record, then enter the records, then display the number of records, 3. This is the list of list. The first one is the first list, that is first record. This one is second list, is the second record. Third list is the third record. And all these are enclosed within another list. That's why it is list of list. I think with this you have got an idea that how to solve this type of problem. Here I have mentioned 2 similar problems. First one is write a program to enter physics, chemistry, math and the total marks in a CSV file. Then read the marks file and display the all marks in the screen where the total is more than 240. Second problem is write a program to add and insert n records into a file, record.csv file. The record should have employee ID, employee name and employee email ID. Define a function then to display all the records in the file record.csv. I think you can solve this problem. If you have some problem, then you can mail me. I will send you the solved problems. Thank you. This is my email ID. You also get my email ID in the description box. Don't forget to like the presentation and select the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you.